What's going on, Pizza King podcast listeners? Today's episode is brought to you by Bag Genie, my newest go-to solution for pizza delivery. Imagine delivering hot, fresh pizza every single time. That's what you get when you get a bag from Bag Genie. This is pizza bags made by pizza guys. They understand all of the things that we need when it comes to delivering hot, fresh pizza every single time. Look, I've been doing this for 22 years. I have not seen a bag with so much thought put into it, with so much attention to detail and quality in all of the years. It's by far the best bag I've ever delivered with. But here's the best part. Bag Genie is offering an exclusive deal just for our listeners. Go to their website, baggenie.net, and when you spend $200 or more using code Pizza King at checkout, they're going to throw in a free bag. That's right, free. So don't miss out on this opportunity. Elevate that delivery game. Take it to the next level. Visit baggenie.net, use code Pizza King, and claim that free bag. Thank you so much to Brian and the team at Bag Genie for supporting the show. Now let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to the Pizza King podcast, your destination for all things pizza business. I'm your host, Tyrell Reed, and every week we're taking a deep dive into the behind the scenes world of running a successful pizza business, from team building to sales growth, multi-unit strategies, and much more. Doesn't even matter if you're a pizza vet, just starting out in the game, just your first shop, whatever you're doing, this podcast will be your go-to resource for tips, strategies, and success stories. As always, send me your questions to info@tyrellreed.com. Go connect with me on Instagram at Pizza King Podcast. Let's get into the episode. Pizza! All right, we back. Another episode of Pizza King Podcast. I got a special guest this week. Good friend of mine, David Wyatt. David has been an area supervisor for Sonic Burgers. He spent years with me at Checkers rallies. He's here in Florida now, but he spent some time. I think David came from Missouri, and I'll let him come on and tell his story. But really good episode today. Really going to dial in on what it takes to, at the store level, run a successful, profitable business, because businesses run one way and they're not always profitable. And we've seen, and David can tell you about his experience, but we've seen a lot of stores that look great on the outside, but when you started to dig in, there wasn't shit for profit going on in there. So he was really one of the special guys that I worked with in my time in this business. So, without further ado, I'm going to let him give his introduction. That was probably I didn't do him the right justice, but I'm going to bring David on, let him introduce himself, and, tell you about what he's doing out here in the world. David, what's happening, brother?
How much, T? How's it going, man?
Man, I cannot complain. I get to sit here. I talk about pizza, and now we could talk about burgers and, all those different things with football and all that. What the hell do I have to complain about?
Absolutely nothing at that point. We woke up every day, so we got nothing to complain about.
Absolutely. How's the family?
Family's good, man. Family's good. Getting big. Kids are 12 and 6 now, or 11 and 5. They'll be 12 and 6 very soon.
Holy smokes!
They're getting big, man. Getting big.
Oh man, I feel like she was like you were like fresh, brand new baby when I met you.
Absolutely. No, very young. We moved to Florida when I met you. My youngest was 1.
Wow. So literally a baby.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on the show. And not just coming on, you've been, a big supporter and, always engaging with the content and giving me feedback. And, even beyond that, you've been a big part of even the stuff that I get to talk about, these lessons that we get to teach. So, you were there firsthand for a lot of these things that I get to recount now. So tell the people who you are, what you do, and, why they should be listening to you, and if they want to take their careers to the next level.
Absolutely. So, I mean, my name's David. Of course, Tyrell gave you that. David Wyatt. I came most recently from Missouri, lived up there for quite a few years. Graduated high school in Arkansas. I got into the fast food game. My first job was actually with Sonic Drive-In in 2004. So it's been 20 years now. I've tried to leave. I've tried to come back, and a couple things here and there, but I've always landed my way back to where I'm at. So now I'm with Sonic. It's been in my family. My father's been doing it for over 25 years with Sonic Drive-In. I've been doing it for just as long now, 20 years approximately. And it's just, it's very vital to stay the course and just listen to the lessons that people like you are talking about, and, things we're going to discuss today. And and different information that's out there. And if you stay the course and do the job, then the possibilities are endless in this industry.
20 years in the game. And your story's a lot like mine. When I tried to leave so many times. I tried to quit. I thought I was going to go get into IT and do all these things, but a few months later, I'm back in there in one of these kitchens somewhere, or with another brand or something. But the industry
Absolutely.
didn't let me go. So
It's riding a bicycle, man. It's hard. It's
yeah,
going to get
it's
you
all
where you
right.
need to go, and you're always come back and learn how to do it. So
I can
it's definitely
appreciate it now.
fail
I can
safe.
appreciate it now because, at that point I thought there was greener pastures in other places, but the restaurant business has been really good to us.
It has, and it's always people got to eat. It's not going anywhere. So how can we make it better?
Straight up, straight up. What are you doing now?
So I'm now an area supervisor for um, a Sonic franchise, Planet franchise group in the Crystal River area of Crystal River, Florida. I supervise 5 stores from Crystal River up to Tallahassee.
So you're overseeing 5 restaurants in multiple cities. How do you even manage, the time that it takes to do that? I know people and there's going to be people listening like, shit, I'm having trouble just taking care of my one store. How in the world do you manage multiple restaurants in multiple cities?
So, I mean, the biggest thing for me is scheduling. Um, you can't just fly by the seat of your pants every single day. Operators think we'll always fix this, we'll always get this, we'll always get this. You've got to have a schedule. My schedule every day, every week consists of even my drive time. So when I open up my Outlook, I put in my drive time. I leave the house at 8 o'clock. I get to the store at this time. I spend 45 minutes. I drive to the next one. My whole day is planned to the minute, including that drive time, including if I'm going to take some lunch time or if we have certain topics to talk about. This right here is built into my day, so that my stores know how to run while I'm occupied for a few minutes. So
Yeah.
it's all about scheduling.
I imagine, well, yeah, I know that schedule thing all too well. And that was one of the big things, especially when I was in that region coach role where, you're looking at, restaurants that are all over the place and people that have their own things to take care of and worry about. How does your team play into your schedule? So if you're scheduling, how does that calendar and that planning work with the people that you have to, the worst thing that can happen is you drive a couple of hours up to Tallahassee from where you are, and the people that you need to work with aren't there. So how are you managing that part of it?
So, I mean, that's communication. Communication is vital just as much as scheduling. And I see their schedules every week. So when you get into that role as area supervisor, regional coach, whatever that industry calls it, it's communicating with their needs too, not just your schedule. So yeah, I might want to be home at Tuesday at 5 o'clock because there's a baseball game on TV, but that might be the only time that general manager is available. So I need to be there for them at 5 o'clock so that we can have that conversation.
Yeah.
You can't just hope that they're going to be there because nothing will work out.
Yeah. Well, if not, you'll end up doing their job when you get there anyway. So you better have
Absolutely.
somebody to work. You better have somebody to work with when you get there. Um,
Absolutely.
so well, and then there's the other side of managing multiple places. There's different needs at different places, right? How are you keeping track and keeping, making sure you're seeing the right things when you're in a restaurant or when you're in an area versus just doing what you want to do?
Well, so I'm fortunate enough to work for a solid franchise. We do have policies and procedures set in place for my visits. So when I go into a location, I have 10 to 12 things I have to look for every single time.
Okay.
Uh, so that really does help narrow down the tunnel vision. You get into a drive-in that has not performed on the P&L, it may be food costs. So you're going to have to address that a little bit more than the store that's not performing on labor or,
You're right.
controllables, uniforms, and things like that. So those items we have to individualize, but the 10 to 12 items that we always look for, cleanliness, staffing, things like that, inside, outside presence, those are things we just look for every single visit. And it really keeps us on track.
So, and it sounds like that really helps to set the standard when it comes to, all right, not just when David visits, but this is how we need to operate every single day. If they know that every week or 3 or 4 times a week, someone's checking on my cleanliness, they're checking on, how my labor performance is happening versus budget. All these things are happening. That helps to really keep people, online and on track. When we were together, you were always really, really in tune and dialed in with your numbers. I heard you talk here about controllables and, your labor costs and these different things. When you were in your GM role, you were, hands down our best GM when it came to just financially managing that business. How much do you have to teach those components now? And what advice could you give to a new GM or a future GM when it comes to just running the financials in a business?
No, the biggest thing is just ask. As one of my philosophies and how I learned to be so in tune with the numbers as an area supervisor that I had a long time ago back in Missouri. At the time, didn't appreciate what he was trying to teach me. Then I got, more developed and more into my role as a seasoned GM, and it began making sense. But um, a closed mouth is never fed. So if you have a question, ask,
Right.
because I can't teach you. I can only assume that you know what labor is. I can only assume that you know what controllables are, but I can't break it down. If you don't ask the question, I don't know that you have a question. So for me, I spend a lot of time breaking it down to their personal P&Ls and not just the
Okay.
business. So when they don't understand something, I break it down to their house, to their rent, to their light bill. And I just take the numbers from
Mm,
thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars down to how much do you make in a month? Okay. Well, now how much do you pay for rent? And we start breaking it down. And then they get to the end of the month. They go, well, I only got about $300 to spend. I was like, well, we're no different. So when you broke that ice cream, or not when you broke that ice cream machine, but when you called to get that repaired and it cost me $1,200, where did that
yeah.
come from? So
Everything has
now
a
we got to
cost, right?
save. Absolutely. And when you get into labor, it's $10 a day. They're like, oh, well, I just spent one extra hour. Well, that's right. But if we're paying people $15 an hour here in the next couple of years, that 1 hour a day is going to be 450 bucks a month. And then you multiply that by 12. We're talking a good amount of change every year just because we wanted to spend time to take the trash out. We got to find
Ah,
a way to build that into the day and make sure that we're utilizing our people. You spoke on it a couple episodes ago where we can't afford to pay people to do less work,
no,
or
not
I
anymore.
believe that's what it was. Overtime.
So,
We can't do it.
yeah,
It's too expensive. And it's just got to break it down and make it personable to them. Not everybody has a business mindset, but when you start breaking it down and you start talking about their finances and how we can help them make more money by controlling the things that they can control,
yeah.
it starts to make more sense. And that's when you see the numbers start to come down.
How often are you having those P&L discussions with your team?
So we see our P&Ls once a month, but I discuss it weekly. We do a weekly report that kind of shows us where our ticket average is, our traffic, where we are versus last year and last week. And then we just kind of really discuss on it that, yeah, you were up 5% this week in sales. That's fantastic. But we had a 2.5% menu increase. So you should be up 2.5%.
Yeah.
And then you're down 10% in traffic. So theoretically, you're down 7.5%. What do we have to do to get that back? Because you could easily be up 13%
Mm.
rather than five.
Well,
And
I
so
think
what
that
do we
helps.
got to do to get people in the door?
Yeah, that helps. That helps bring it home too. When you're like, okay, well, it feels good in the moment, but when you compare it to where we should be, that now it's okay. Now I got some work to do because you can get your ass kicked in one day and it feels like you're really doing something. And then
Absolutely.
the end of the week comes and you still lost money and you're like, what in the world happened?
Absolutely. You can, I mean, I don't know how it relates in the pizza industry, as far as, sales and what have you, but a ticket average for Sonic, a really good ticket average, for my drive-ins is in about the $13 range. Um,
Yeah.
but, $10, you're not going to make any money. Average $15, you're going to make really good money. So you got to really just find that happy medium. And what do we have to do how do you get that ticket to from 12.75 to 13? While it may not seem like a lot on that ticket,
Yeah.
what do we have to do? Because 25 cents a ticket times 2,000 tickets a month is a lot of money.
Yeah. That's a lot. That is a lot. So it in pizza, I mean, it's all relatable, right? Our ticket averages are higher. And especially when we talk about online sales, I think our ticket average in the store is probably 27 and change, almost $28. Online ticket is, $35. There's
Right.
all those automatic upsells and, add-ons and things that happen online. So it makes it a
Of
lot
course.
easier for folks to click. But what we teach is, let's make sure that we understand our menu and our offerings and our customers well enough to get that upsell, to get that add-on. What pairs well with that? If they get a spaghetti, are we trying to upsell the meatball? If they get, a meat eater's pizza, can we add extra bacon or extra cheese? Like, what do we say? Bacon goes well with anything. We'll put bacon on
Absolutely.
anything in this pizza shop, to try to get that extra couple of bucks, because at the end of the month and end of the year, it adds up and it matters.
Absolutely. And you take that same conversation. Sonic put bacon on a peanut butter cheeseburger
Quit
here
playing.
last month. We did a supersonic bacon double cheeseburger and a peanut butter bacon shake. So bacon goes on anything.
Oh, shit, I
It was
haven't been
delicious.
in a while, but I'm about to see if they can make it at this one over here. What?
It's delicious. They have all the stuff. It's delicious. But in the same right of upselling and trying to get that ticket average higher, you know, I'm a people person not only in the business but also in our customer base. Because if somebody orders a burger and a fry, I can get you a drink for 30 cents. So I'm gonna, you got to
When
build
my
that
mind is
value.
right, and I think that, like, hey, look, let's 30 more cents. Hey, you want to put an extra quarter on that and get the combo?
Absolutely. And you're building value for the customer. A lot of times our customers will order a cheeseburger and mozzarella sticks and a milkshake. So, you talk to them, oh, so you want the number one combo? And they say, no, no, I just want this, this, and this. I'm like, yes, ma'am, or yes, sir. It's the exact same thing, but I'm going to charge you $4 less,
Yeah.
right? You're losing $4 on that ticket, but you're building a customer for life because they saw that you understood their value and you appreciated their hard earned money. So they come back. And then
And I love
you
that's an
lose four
interesting
dollars
thing.
today. You lose $4 today, but if you get $12 three times a week now, that's
Then
36 instead of four.
then
So
you really
you've
won.
tripled your money. Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
and on the other side, if they leave and then they figure it out on their own that I could have paid $4 less than it, they're never coming back.
And they're telling their friends.
They're never coming back. So there's I love that. So it's building value for the guest while taking a little bit of a hit up front. And at the same time, we're still trying to make money and we're trying to grow our sales, but you got to have a little bit of long-term thinking when it comes to it. And that's hard to do when it comes down to the team level.
Absolutely. And that is built in on our cost side. Sonic already knows that. It's we got to get our general managers to understand that and teach it down to their crew. Because yes, top line sales are great, but repeat customers is where we need it because that's what's going to grow top line sales. And then all the things we're talking about, controllables, labor, food costs, it all comes down. And then you start making money.
Yeah. Break it down for someone who doesn't understand the business, or maybe they're new, they're going to start a pizza shop. I talk to a lot of pizza folks and, uh, future pizzeria owners or new pizzeria owners. How important is it to control? Well, first, can you tell them what big two are and how important it is to control big two when it comes to just being profitable?
I mean, so as far as big two goes, I think I understand what you're talking about is in labor and food costs.
Correct.
For
Yeah.
me, are the big two. You got to keep those depending on your industry at a certain percentage. But if you can keep those under 55% of your business costs, you're going to be doing okay. Um, Food cost is hard, and we know that. It's rising, it's going up every single day. Uh, we're limited because we have to buy certain food,
Hmm.
and you might be limited because you have to buy certain food. But it's how can you prep right? How can you cross utilize, your ingredients, and how do you minimize waste?
Ooh,
Keeping
that's
those
the one.
things down keeping those down and keeping your labor controls. I'll hire people all day and I'll pay them what they're worth. When they show me what they're worth is when they'll get the hours and when they'll get the pay raise, because I got to know that you've got my back and I've got yours 110% as long as you're doing the job. We all got
Straight up.
home lives and we all got everything going on outside the business. But when you're in the business, I need you to work and I need you to do what you're being paid to do.
Yeah. I think there's this misconception that, especially in fast food. I know before I was, in the drive-through business, I didn't know how much business was really going through those drive-through lanes and how much traffic we were actually able to push through. Mistakes add up very quickly in a high
Absolutely.
volume business. So, and I talk about this too with folks that I coach, and even with my team. Mistakes cost us double. So we try to make sure that we're perfect. We're perfect on that. So if food cost is, 30% on an item, if we screw that item up, we're paying for it twice. And that can tear your profit down so quick. So I love that you said that. And I love that you touched on, on giving people what they're worth, because that's always another misconception is, you're not going to make money there. You can't get the hours or you can't get paid. And I think it's all based on performance, especially from what it sounds like you're saying. If you show that you can perform and you're a team player and you're going to do what the business needs, then you can turn that into a really good job and per your example and even mine, a long-term career.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and some people don't see it as a career for them, and
Mm-hmm.
that's perfectly fine. But those that want to be there, you have to develop them. You have to take care of your people so that your people take care of the people. Because without the people, without the customer, without the guests, what me and you were talking about air. We're not doing anything right now
It ain't
because
me
we don't
paying
have
you.
jobs. Because we don't have jobs. So
I
we
might
need
be
the
the
people
one.
that come in and
Yeah, I might be the one that handed you the paycheck or onboarded you, but it's not me paying you.
absolutely not. It is
It's
the
those
customer that you
guests.
get back every single day. And you made the comment about mistakes. And I teach every one of my GMs this, and I teach every one of the crew members or assistant managers that I train. You're going to make a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to happen. Don't stress on it.
It's part of it.
Because when you do pay 60% for that item, you need to make sure that that is the best 60% you've ever paid, because now it's not just an item going out the door.
Uh,
It's advertising and it's an investment. It's advertising how you're going to take care of the guest, and it's investing in that guest to return.
yeah,
Because without that guest, if they come back 3 or 4 times, you've knocked your food costs right back down, because they're going to spend more money with you. They're going to come more often, and then you'll get that money back.
that's long-term
But you
thinking
have
again.
to take the time. You have to invest in that person. You have to take care of the employee that made the mistake, and you have to take care of the guests and just make it right, and add no matter what the cost.
How often is it, do you get, this isn't right, but we get the fight in our place all the time where I know I did it right, but they're just saying that they didn't order it that way. Is there a win there? Is there any right and wrong when it comes to just, I mean, I always say I'm not about to argue with anybody over a pizza. I'll give you a pizza. Where do you draw the line there? Because it seems like it can get out of control.
Yeah, so I mean, as far as the employee goes, as being nice as possible, I just inform the employee that maybe you are right. Maybe the customer wasn't even close. But you're paid by the hour to perform a job, and you're not paid by the burger or the pizza that you make. It's
Mm,
not a commission job. It's not coming out of your pocket. We're growing the business. We got to take care of our guests. As far as the guest is concerned, I just talk to them, and within reason, I'll make them whatever. Um, they can't tell me that they ordered a supersonic bacon double cheeseburger when we ring them up for a hot dog. Like, those two items aren't
okay,
even close.
it's got to make
But if you
sense.
put
Yeah.
pepperoni on something that should have been sausage, that's probably feasible. But we'll just talk to them, and at some point in time, I'll draw the line and just let them know that I will do anything I can to help you and make this right. But if we're not going to see eye to eye today, then I think it's just best that we talk about this another time. And I'll just leave the
Understood.
conversation, because you will go back and forth all day over a $2 cheeseburger. and it's just not worth it. So try
Like
to make it right. If you can't, remove yourself from the situation and tell them to have a great day.
I've seen it. We spent time in St. Pete, so I've seen an
We
argument get way
absolutely,
way out of control over $1. So
absolutely.
it could happen. Like, dude, just here, go eat this somewhere else. You
Tallahassee's not any different.
really?
No, it's
I did
worse.
fuzzies up there. I didn't work a whole lot. I was an FBC with fuzzy, so it was super corporate in that at
Oh
that
yeah,
point.
no, it's on the ground in Tallahassee is pretty interesting.
Nice. Well, I love that you're out there doing a job and they got a good leader. You talked about what you teach and how you train your GMs and your assistants and your shift leads and your the team people that you work with, the team members that you work with. We learned an interesting concept from our days with another brand that we won't name called Highway 142, which was our pretty much our team building concept. And I still live by some of these rules today in my business and what I teach the folks that I work with. Tell us what Highway 142 is.
Highway 142, I mean, it's like you said, I've been doing this a long time, and it just recently came into the understanding of it, and then implementation of it. But Highway 142 is a restaurant leader or a team leader, and then you got your four shift managers or assistant managers that are growing up in the line, and two that have potential to be part of that four. It's just building a bench and making sure that your business can always operate with the right people. And in my time as a supervisor, which has been short, it's been since November of 23, so we're going on 6 months.
Right.
It's been very interesting switching over from an operator to a supervisor, but it's very vital because I've had a couple GMs go down, whether it's policies they didn't appreciate or just performance, and I had to let one or two go. But they having that 142, it wasn't really in place, and it struggles. I had a hard time finding ways to keep these restaurants open, and I was able to do it because we did have a strong enough team that hadn't been talked to. We can sit
Mm-hmm.
down and have those hard conversations, find out what their goals are, and just really look inside of who you have. And if you don't have anybody that can be on that 142, maybe they're just a really strong crew person and they will always be that. They might be in that too. They could be a crew leader for you.
Yeah,
They might be able to train your incoming crew, and then they may develop one of those four people just in teaching them the techniques and the standards that you have. So it's very vital that you invest into that core group of people, yourself at the top, and then, of course, the six people underneath you there. So
I love it. And to me, it was always this. It drove home the point that we're always hiring and we're always in development mode and we're always preparing for what's next. And just to recap, it is Highway 142. That's one senior manager or one GM, four junior managers, and two people in development to be leaders, team leads, managers, shift leads, trainers, whatever that may be. But we're always searching for who that next round of leaders is going to be in the restaurant. And I think that's important for any business, especially our business where we rely so heavily on people to spend the time and get to know your folks. And you made a really good point about just talking to them, have those conversations, find out what their goals are, because you could have someone who has the potential and no one ever knew that. And they were too shy to ever say anything, or they didn't have the platform to have that conversation, or, no one ever even noticed them or even touched the store and hadn't been there in 6 months. So, and you could lose that
happens
person.
too often,
You could lose
all
that
too
person.
often,
They walk in the door somewhere else and they're like a superstar over there. So it's
all
important to
too
have
often.
those conversations. And thanks. I learned that from Michael Murphy. I know, you spend a lot of time with Murphy too. Um, we'll give him his flowers right here. Murphy's one of the strongest leaders I'd ever worked with. And, great teacher, great motivator, most positive guy I've ever met in my life, even more positive than me. So, I appreciate him for teaching
Absolutely,
us that.
that dude was he turned a whole leaf for me. I was always a positive individual for the most part. Um, but after working with Murphy, after working with you, and we'll throw Justin in there, after working with some Justin, there's a lot of different approaches to how you can look at the same problem.
Hmm.
And I think when our four heads were together, we really accomplished a lot of things, both in our personal lives and in our professional lives. And while we've all gone separate ways at this point, we're all still doing things, and we're all still very successful based on a lot of the times of the meeting of our minds. And I'm really thankful for that.
Hell yeah. I'm trying to get Justin to come on the podcast, but he won't text me back. Text him and
Oh, I'm
say,
gonna mess as soon
you
as I'm
better
done.
send him a message and say, I just did it with T. You better answer him. I don't know. Maybe
As
he's
soon as
mad
I'm
at me.
done, I'm reaching out to him.
No,
As soon as I'm done.
just as my guy. I did text him right after you booked it. I'm like, I gotta send it. I sent the booking page to Justin. Like, man, come on the podcast. Especially now he's doing pizza. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah, he's doing pizza.
He's got to
We
do
won't name with who, but he's doing pizza, and I think he's doing all
it.
right.
Yeah, he is.
So, we
He's good.
spoke on 142 right there, and I just want to talk to you about, you might overlook somebody, and I almost did it recently, not having a conversation, but I have an individual. I lost a GM last week, due to some personal reasons. They had to step down and step out of the position, and I struggled to keep a restaurant running all week. I had one individual within the restaurant that clocked 75 hours for me last week.
Mm.
Um, and this individual has been through three different GMs at this location, been with the company numerous years. And actually, at the end of our conversation today, I'm going up there to sign her offer letter because I was like, you know what? She's pushed through enough. I can teach her how to use a computer. I said, but
Yeah,
she's been in the trenches too long. I said, I'm going to give her an opportunity. What can it hurt? All we can do is be back at square one in 90 days. But let's fly it and let's see what happens. So I'm headed there after this to go to get that done.
man. Sometimes those intangibles are like all you need, right? If someone
Absolutely.
is willing to show up, they're putting their heart into it. 75 hours? Are you kidding me? Like,
Last week.
you know what I mean? That's dedication and loyalty that you can't expect from people. I'll we'll teach you the stuff you need to learn. We'll figure it out.
Absolutely.
Um
I
and
tell
then
everybody all the time,
yeah,
I
and
can
find a
teach you how to
role.
Sonic. Yep.
Yeah.
I can
Hell
teach you
yeah.
how to Sonic. I cannot teach you how to lead or how to, have integrity or have personal conviction. Those things I can't teach you. You either come with
Straight
those
up.
or you don't. But I can teach you the job.
Man, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Let's see what else we got here. We talked about numbers. We talked about 142. I loved what you're doing with just taking care of your people. I'm a big fan of. I'm always team first. Like I'm gonna take care. I'm gonna take care of the folks on my team before anything because that's what solves the problems. Um,
Absolutely.
ex-
And, 142 and having those people, like you said, you always got to have the next person up. That has a negative connotation in itself if the wrong person hears it, because all too often, and you see social media and everything out there that just says, make sure you take that family time because if you died tomorrow, your office will be cleaned out by the end of the day. Well, that is the case. That doesn't mean the owner and the operator is not going to be hurt
yeah.
personally. We're connected to these individuals all the same, but this is our livelihood too, and we have to be ready to move forward. We have to be ready to continue the business while we hurt and grieve alongside you and alongside your family. We are people and we understand what's going on, but the business doesn't stop.
No,
And that's the
and
downside as to what we're doing.
yeah, and I agree that it does kind of have that negative connotation to it when you think about I'm easily replaceable, but this business is bigger than me. This business
Absolutely.
is not only just a pillar in the community, but it takes care of dozens of people and their families, and the customers that need to come here every single week or can only afford to get shop on our dollar menu, and they count on us to be here every day because that's the only meal they're going to get. There's
Absolutely.
so many different layers to it, and it's not to be insensitive, but it's also we have a responsibility as leaders to keep this thing going for everyone. It's a mini economy in itself for all of those folks, and you see it. We've seen restaurants that I've had restaurants that were closed, that were had to shut down for whatever reason, if it was leadership or we had a lot of closures during COVID, and people were hurting
Absolutely.
during those weeks or those days or those half days where we couldn't find staff or we couldn't get late night. So I agree with you 100%. You gotta stay ready, and it's okay. And I think the other side of it is having the leadership at the store level that knows, like, I'm training you to do my job so that you can do this one day and I can be whatever's next. And I always appreciated that about you, because you kept a manager ready. I think about the work that you did with Stacy, right? Or, some of the other folks that work with you, is especially, I mean, hell, even Josh, and I'm just throwing names out there that people don't know, but the work that we did with those junior managers allowed you to go do what was next. And to the point that we even literally had to create a hybrid role for you, because we had so many ready managers that it was, okay, let's find something that he can do that suits his skill set and keeps him engaged. So I think those things are important.
Absolutely. And, I appreciate that because, it allowed me to develop into what I am today and in my position now. I took a step back when I left the company and
Mm-hmm.
went back to Sonic, but I did it for personal gain, right? And I did it for professional growth for my family and what we had going on. But um, you always have to be developing, because if you're not developing people, that day's going to come and everything you've done over the last 18 months can go out the window in a matter of days if you don't have the right person to step in there. So I
Yes,
want
it
to move
does.
up still at this time. So I've got to find GMs that are very capable to start doing what I do, so that I don't know what the next step is for me, but I want it to be something in the next 18 months to 2 years. So I've got to begin to develop so that I can get to that next level.
Yeah, I mean, you won't even touch it if you don't have someone that can step into where you are now.
Absolutely.
Man, I love what you're doing. All right, last question, and this is for my boys: Brock Purdy or Patrick Mahomes?
Man, on what level? That's the question, right? So, um, because Mahomes is an athlete, but
Special.
Purdy is a character. But Purdy's a character. He's got so much character on the salary that he's playing on to be doing what he's doing. It doesn't do anything different than a general manager or an operator, because he could underperform. What are they going to do? They can't replace him,
No.
right? He's all they have. He's why they're good. So he has to perform at whatever level he's comfortable with, but his personal integrity has got him performing so well. And Mahomes is just a beast. So I'm from Missouri. I lived in Missouri for a little while. I'm gonna have to say Mahomes side by side, but the character of Brock Purdy is just
So if you were
he's
going to
not doing
start
it
it,
for money.
oh no, he's playing out of straight love and passion, and I think Mahomes does too. But I think it's different now. A couple of Super Bowls later, some MVPs, $500 million. It looks and it feels
Yeah,
different. It should be pretty damn good every single week. Um,
absolutely.
I think that the expectations are much higher for him, and that's the same thing for leadership. When you perform and you grow, the expectations grow and change with that too. If you're killing it in a restaurant, you got to make sure that you continue to prepare and perform. But I love watching Brock Purdy, because it's clear that he's a football player, right? That dude prepares.
Absolutely.
That dude knows what he's doing. He's taking care of himself. He understands the game well enough to go out there and do, with limited experience or expectation, go out there and just kill the league. So I ain't mad at Brock
Absolutely.
Purdy.
I ain't mad at him at all, but I think side by side, Mahomes still has the edge. Of course, like you said, the expectations are just higher, and that also translates back to business, where if you're the if you're the operator or the supervisor that has two operators like that, you can't be harder on one because of your expectations of that person. You got to be
Mm,
fair across the board. And you
mm,
have to expect the same thing and praise the over on the over performer. So Mahomes
yeah.
should receive all the accolades in the world for performing way above league standards. But you can't knock Purdy for doing anything less,
No,
because
I think,
he's still knocking it out of the park. So you still got to give him all of his praises due. But I think side by
yeah.
side, Mahomes beats him.
Well, when it comes to wins and losses, there, to me, it's the results are the same, regardless of how they got there, and they have different
Right.
teams and different coaches, different situations, but both of those guys play great ball, and I'm a fan of preparation. I'm a fan of doing the work behind the scenes. I know I'm on this and on the podcast, but most folks that work with me know I'm more of a behind the scenes guy. Like I want to have that one-on-one conversation and not stand in front of the group. So like you can tell that those guys are putting in the work to
Absolutely.
to get the results that they are. So I respect the hell out of both of them, but I'm a Dak Prescott guy.
Me too, man. Cowboys for life.
For
Cowboys
life.
for life. Hey, we
For
just
life.
signed Zeke again for a year. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, it can't be too bad. Zeke's more comfortable in Dallas, so if as long as we can get that yard or two on third and still be a threat, we should be good. And look, expectations are always high for
If we can get
Cowboys.
some backside protection, if we can just get a little bit of backside protection from him picking up some of those pass rushers, it'd be a game changer. But we always say it's our year, and we're always going to hope it's our year until it's December and January, and then we'll see what happens.
I'm still screaming it, so I'm still screaming it. But again,
Absolutely,
man,
absolutely.
thank you so much for joining and reaching out and hang out. I'm gonna end the recording, but hang out for a second. Tell people how to find you, where your Sonics are. If they see you, can they wave at you and get a free Sonic burger or a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, peanut butter bacon
butter bacon burger. Yeah, so we'll always make it. It's not on the menu anymore, but we'll always make it. Like I said, I'm in Crystal River. I'm in Perry. I've got one location in Crawfordville and 2 locations in Tallahassee. If you're at any of those locations, well, most all of them have a Facebook page. I manage all of the Facebook pages for those 5 locations. Feel free to reach out. I'll connect with you. If you got a school event, anything going on,
Nice.
just reach out. I'm on Facebook, David Wyatt. The second, I believe, you'll see my 2 little girls hanging out in my profile picture. So I'll get some of that information over to you. I don't know how that works. Maybe you can get some of it tagged to the video or something, but
I will.
they're more than welcome to reach out. And anybody up in this area that has any questions, comments, concerns, or might want me to stop by on a personal side and work with them, I'm glad to do that too. That's something I'm branching out to on my own. I'm going to try and begin a little small business consulting side gig. So that's something I'm looking forward to. If anybody's got something going on, I'll be glad to sit down with you.
Dude, you should. And I know we talked about it before with the food safety training, becoming a proctor.
I'm
anytime
a proctor
you're talking
and
about
an instructor.
Yeah, food, this business development, you got skills. Put that out there, use it because somebody needs that. So look for David. I'll tag you and I'll put your links in the show notes and anything that we put out in regards to this podcast. So thanks again. I know you got mad things going on over there. So don't forget to text Justin. Tell his ass to come on the podcast. Let's do it.
I get him right now. I wouldn't do or even think about going where I'm going with this without watching your podcast over the last little bit. I'm like, man, if he can get out there and do it, I can do it too. So
absolutely,
I really appreciate your time put on here and having me on and just really continuing to work with me, even though we're not even in the same business or industry anymore. And you're there if I pick up the phone. So I appreciate that.
Man, it's once you get me, you got me for life, bro. You already know that.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'll holler at you. Hang out real quick.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Pizza King podcast with Tyrell Reed. If you enjoyed today's discussion, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback means the world to me. Got a topic you love to cover or a question that you want answered? Shoot me an email at info@tyrellreed.com. or reach out to me on Instagram at Pizza King Podcast. I love hearing from all of the listeners.